Hello and welcome to another episode of SteegCast. Today's episode, we are going to be focusing on myths and legends. With me, I have Mr. Tom Tit.
Hello.
Mr. Gene Jenkins.
Capitaine in the constabulary.
And Mr. Gareth Bisrabara.
Fifth Beatle.
Yeah. So we're still in lockdown, so we're still doing this Skype format. So apologies for any audio, video issues that you might see. We can't really avoid it, unfortunately. But yeah, what's been happening since the last cast we done on the
Kim Jong-un's alive, son.
You changed your tune.
I haven't actually looked up anything on that lately. What is the latest on?
He was playing Final Fantasy for a while, and then he was alive again.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Grid, did he?
Have you heard Final Fantasy VII Remake? Pretty good, mine.
Yeah, it was on offer the other day on Steam. I haven't bothered, to be honest with you. I've just been playing Modo constantly, so it's taken up my life.
Have they released half of it? Final Fantasy VII? Or is the whole thing out now? Why did I get the idea that they've only done half of the remaster?
I thought it was the whole thing.
Yeah, good God, the entire thing, aye.
Maybe it's
Your man's doing a remake, Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
Or an actual remaster of the old games.
Yeah.
Old levels and that. Well, this is it. If they do it now, because a game that relies so heavily on in the mechanics that make those games, need to get it right. Then like the Crash Bandicoot remaster,
Oh,
the
God,
mechanics were fucked. It was so hard.
I wonder
Ridiculous.
if they're going to have the same soundtrack or whether they're going to update it.
That's what I was
Amoeba!
just about to get on to. It's actually up on Spotify already. Playlist to it.
Same playlist or old?
Same playlist. But apparently, there's only 4 songs off the original playlist that aren't on it. Apparently,
Probably.
I think that is exactly the same.
It's good going.
Probably copyright issues.
I believe it was to do with maybe like copyright issues, or perhaps they couldn't get licenses now, etc. I don't know. But every song bar 4, I think Goldfinger is on one of them as well, isn't he? As me, Richard, talk about Goldfinger.
Wouldn't surprise me, man. Big
Goldfinger song on one. Anyway, moving on. Yeah.
Depends what game. Which game is it?
1 and 2, I think they're redoing.
1 and 2.
Ah, cool. 3 are the best soundtrack, I think.
My personal favorite Tony Hawk was Tony Hawk's 3. That was kind of
boat.
I really liked Tony Hawk's 3.
The fucking boat on Tony Hawk's 3. You're Darth Maul as a secret character.
Yeah.
Remember that.
I liked Underground as well, even though that was the beginning and the end essentially.
Yeah,
and World Tour. World Tour was fucking class as well. Was it World Tour? It was called when you go to like Russia and shit. There was like a story, like you had all these cutscenes and stuff. World Tour is
remember that, son.
World Tour is when you play yourself. You create a character, and you were then placed in the world with like Bam Margera and Tony Hawk and all them knobs. And it's a good game. We're going back like 15 odd years at least. Yeah.
I remember American Wasteland. I remember that one.
That
was pretty good.
That came after again.
I quite liked Wasteland. I thought it was decent because that had a story in it, didn't it?
Is that the one where you make your own park, or is that Underground?
Underground.
And
I think you can park on any of them, can't you?
Yeah,
Wasteland is when you're like betrayed
like...
by your best friend or some shit, isn't it? And he's like, he ends up being a rival skater to you or some shit.
You tag stuff as well. You spray paint stuff and all that crap. I think.
Joe Rogan's moved, didn't he? Because of the old censorship business that's going on YouTube. He's moved over to Spotify for a bit more freedom and liberation from the oppressive feet of what's becoming the internet mafia now. The big four, on it. You got your YouTube, your Facebook. That's about it, really. But
Amazon.
In his contract, he's got that they need to allow Alex Jones to be on the show, which I am over the fucking moon with. Even if
Alex Jones is allowed on Spotify though, as it stands, I think he's blacklisted.
It could be, but in Joe Rogan's contract, he's put that they need to let him on with.
And Spotify they're giving Joe Rogan 100 million, is it?
100 million, yeah.
100 million, Christ.
I know.
But like a lot of musicians are up in arms about that because they're saying, so Spotify can give 100 million to Joe Rogan, yet they're giving me 0.3 pence per stream. Like,
you know what? It's 2020. You want to fucking try and be relevant? Drop off Spotify. Ta-da. Ta-da, Taylor Swift. Rammstein done it for fucking years and now they're on there. You know what I mean? You can't fight the future. Put it on there or people are just going to download it illegally. It is
Yep.
what it is. Like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? People are going to buy your albums. Fans are going to buy your albums, but a lot of people ain't. It's the fucking way it is.
Yeah.
Some people just cannot let go of the way it was like 20 years ago when you get like any old shit put out on a major label. They press millions of copies. It's no one gives a shit anymore. No one buys CDs.
I think it's mainly the major labels that got an issue with it, and it's just kind of they're trying to filter it down. But there's only, I think I was reading the other day that there's only like 3 major labels, because those 3 labels own all the
Yeah.
other ones below
They're
it.
all
There's
owned
only
by
3 of them.
everyone.
There used to be
Yeah.
tons,
Crazy.
there's only 3 now.
Fucking mad.
Umbrella, do they?
Yeah, I guess it's like the if you look into beer companies, all the breweries, like the
Yeah.
actual companies that own the breweries, there's only like a handful of them really.
Bulmers, Cause.
Yes.
Boston Cause.
So,
Yeah,
It's not so
absolutely.
much of a problem here, 'cause a
but-
lot of the craft stuff we've got is independent, but America is a huge problem where a lot of craft beer breweries are almost secretly owned
yeah,
by like bigger companies, which are then owned by like, I don't know, fucking Coors or whatever.
corporations essentially.
Yeah, you know.
Into
But
that segue.
there's no fucking need for a record label unless you're like a niche record label, or you know you're doing a certain thing. There's no need for a record label. There's no, that entire role has been evaporated by the internet.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking.
All you need is a good booking agent, and
Don't need a booking agent. I fucking hate booking agents. They're a
terms
fucking
of-
waste of everyone's fucking time. Booking agents. What
Well,
a fucking
hey,
pointless.
a friend of mine was in a very successful band a few years back. I won't mention the name because they've been tarnished recently. But he once gave me a bit of advice, and that was basically that you very little you need other than a good booking agent or the ability to be able to get good shows, and the rest is entirely up to you. You don't need labels or management. I mean, there's some bands that come out now and they've barely played any shows, and they've got management and all this behind them.
Yeah, fucks me off.
They seem to want fame and instant success overnight, and that's extremely popular now. That kind of mentality.
Yeah,
I'm noticing that,
you can
especially as I'm
aim
getting older,
agent.
myself and Rich are
Real-
getting older, we find that the young pups are creeping in now. It just seems to be, it's a different mentality, it's a different mindset.
But real fame in bands is nigh on impossible to come by. I mean, you got even the Blackout when they were at their peak, man. You know, they were still working second jobs and all that. You can't live off that. Like, you
I'll
just
be right
can't.
back.
It's a pipe dream, like.
Exactly. It is. And people associate the fact that because a band is well known and famous, that they are, that they must be really well off, and that's not the case at all. I mean, I've spoke to several people who've got to some level of success within the industry that I know personally, and I can absolutely tell you that's not the fact. Yet people still seem to be under the illusion that that's the case. So
It's the same with everything, though. It's like sponsorship deals and the record deals that you get. I mean, what was it? What was that band from Merthyr? They were pretty big at one point.
Pretty vicious.
Yeah. They were saying with Sony, I think, for a mil or two, like, and that's where the money comes from. It's not from people.
I don't think that did them any good, to be honest. I think they, I'm not like saying anything bad about them, but I think it would have done them better if they kind of built it a bit more. So if they were around for a year and a half, and then signed, then when they signed to them after they had all that stuff behind them, I think that would set them on a better path personally.
Get a foundation, like.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not, like I said, it's not saying anything bad about them, because they were, they were a young band. They were only teenagers, and they were, for what they were a decent band, for all intents.
We're talking about Pretty Vicious.
Yeah.
How did I know that? Amazing.
I think that they needed to be allowed to build their craft a bit and to find themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we'd like to mention, but our friends Reaper and Sicily was obviously the same kind of thing for them. They had a lot of people swarming over them, and I mean, Reese will tell you himself that I don't think they were quite ready at the time. So it's the same kind of business there, really.
Yeah.
But they ever signed to a major record label? Like?
Yeah, it was. I can't remember the label, but they were.
It was a subsidiary of.
Yeah. It was the same. The same label as Bullet for My Valentine, I believe.
Oh.
I think.
Nice.
Well, possibly.
Yeah. I think anyway.
In other news, can I just stop you there? At the time of going to press, I know that Gina's expecting a child at any time now, so I just thought I'd throw that in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, most def.
Maybe by the time that everything airs and comes about, that yeah, that might have.
Yeah, it will definitely be out then. It'll be like the second week of June. We're in trouble if it's not there. Yeah, maybe it's
Sean
not you.
Jenkins, Junior, I believe, is the working title, but open to interpretation.
So
What's the working title?
Baby Sean Jenkins Jr.
Sean Jenkins Jr.
Baby SJ.
For some reason,
Jade.
I was under the impression that Gene would call his child Kenneth. Actually, that's been floating about. You won't tell me, but Kenneth is high on the list, definitely.
The name's under
I'm going
wraps.
by the kind of name the dogs are called.
Yeah,
Not that I'm
traditional
comparing
names.
the dog, of course, but I know
Marquis,
that
is it?
I know that there's like an older kind of fashion name and vibe element going on, so I'm just rolling with that, perhaps. And
You're right.
I'm not on his head there.
you never know. During this cast, he might have to dart off and actually take it to the hospital.
Fuck that.
It's entirely
Or like a Michelangelo BMW 52A or something like that.
Yeah, what the fuck?
What was that name the other day that chap named this baby, and it was like squiggles and a couple of letters and stuff?
Something like Ash Archangel. I think it's a troll, man. I think it's a troll.
Or something.
Yeah, Ash Archangel. It's a troll, though. It's gotta be like. It's gotta be.
No, that Musk fella I was talking about. Is it Elon
Yeah.
Musk? Or
Yeah,
Elon Musk?
yeah. It's something like AEXA12.
It said Ash Arch. It's said as Ash Archangel, isn't it? As you say.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the name to call your child in for supper with, that is, isn't it?
Well, the A12 is the prototype of the SR-71, which is a stealth bomber, a stealth plane, which was codenamed the Archangel, which is.
Wow, Compton's very well clued up.
Really,
I
a very
watched
good
Joe
piece
Rogan,
of advice when looking at kids' names, and that's can you shout it across the supermarket?
Yeah.
That is the key.
You
That's the
can't
key.
Hey, Brandy!
Oh, Brandy!
Do you ever hear the news?
No, I haven't heard the news. I am also having my supper,
Say
if
that,
you probably haven't noticed.
I just wanted to quickly say that a couple of months back, myself and Richard interviewed Mr. Alex Band of The Calling, and that's actually got real good feedback on, and it's done very successful. I've had a lot of messages and stuff about it as well from various fans. I just want to thank anyone that has watched it. We will be doing other interviews spinning off at some point when we can. Yeah, and there are other various videos such as Tom's Mortar, which is very entertaining as well.
I know a few people have enjoyed the Barry from EastEnders. I know a good couple of people have enjoyed that.
Yeah.
You may have also noticed we had Mr. Sean Williamson of EastEnders fame. And it'd be like, who? Barry from EastEnders. If I was to say, do you Barry from EastEnders?
Barry from Extras. Barry from anything you pay him to be Barry.
In case you did miss it, you can find it on our various social medias. We did have Mr. Barry from EastEnders, Sean Williamson feature in.
He invaded my TV, son. I didn't know why he was on my TV. What was he doing on my TV?
Well, exactly. But
Sean William Scott was his son.
Thanks to anyone that has been checking the interviews out and other things we've been doing as well, because that's really cool and very much appreciated.
Because we did just hit 3,000 views on it, wasn't it? Today.
At the time of going to press, we've hit 3,000 views on the Alex Band one, and
Nice.
that's pretty cool.
Which for us might not sound a lot to some people, but for us it's quite a big deal considering we've got minimal subscribers and all that stuff on our YouTube. So it's really cool people checked it out and liked it. So
in terms of that, I've had a lot of people literally from all across the world that have contacted me saying how much they've enjoyed it and stuff. So to be accepted by the fans of the artist so well, it's been pretty cool, and I hope that's something that will continue down the line as well and stuff.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Randomly Googled or YouTubed one of my old projects. Like I do loads of like stupid noise and I put it on the internet and I forget it's there. And it's been re-uploaded to YouTube by this like Mexican gore grind channel. And it's got like 1,500 views and all these millions of likes and shit. People all talking in Spanish or whatever about it in the comments. I don't know what the comments mean. I haven't had a chance to look them up yet. But that was interesting. That was an interesting find. When you said 3,000 views, you reminded me of that. And I was like, fucking 1,500 views on YouTube. I would never get that many if I released something legitimately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that project called?
I would like to retain anonymity on that one. It's one of many noise or go grind projects that I would not have my name attached to
So
for
it's pretty
various
much got a
reasons.
name that we can't see on YouTube.
No, it's actually a very straightforward name. It's just, it's not something I want to be associated with anymore. That's the fun of
Ozzy
it.
Osbourne? Are you really Ozzy Osbourne?
I am Ozzy Osbourne.
I knew it. See.
G'day, mate.
I've noticed though that I just say quickly, and then I won't brag on her anymore. I am extremely proud of it, of course, but I have noticed a lot of people and a lot of fans of that artist have been checking out other SteegCast stuff we've done as well, which is amazing. Not just that interview. So that is really cool. The fact that people have found us or myself from that video and have.
Can I get the gist of what he's saying?
So I just wanted to say thank you to anybody that has discovered us and is continuing to support us. Thank you very much. And that's my piece said.
So I don't know if any others have a brew in front of them. I don't know. Are you drinking anything? Any of you lot?
Yeah, I've got a cup of tea. It tastes like Yorkshire. No, it tastes like digestives.
I know the ones. I know the tea.
What tea bag are you using?
Spitting there, do you, son?
Yorkshire digestive tea.
Yeah.
Tastes like digestive.
Tea? Good God, yeah.
So
I
I'm
got
drinking
standard PG at the moment. I'm on, see. I got a green top.
I'm drinking a Gross Bertha, which is a Belgian wheat beer from Brussels Beer Project, which came in my Beer 52 box, which I was well surprised at, and it's banging.
You've done well out of them boxes.
Boxes.
I've had some really good shit from it, in fairness. So
I've got a cupboard
Well, I
full
was
of blanche.
Sorry, go on, go. My bad. Go on, Jack.
I'm just laughing at Jenkins. This is brilliant. He's got his supper everywhere. It's just chaos. This is fantastic.
Full Sunday dinner with vegetarian sausages on it.
Oh wait. I got a cupboard full of Blanche du Namur, my favorite beer, but I'm trying to hold back on drinking it all because it's extremely it's so light and refreshing. It doesn't last long at all. I can down 10 of them and it's nothing, you know. So I got to hold back on it a bit. Yeah.
okay, so I think we'll crack on with the topic then: myths and legends. So the theme I went with this was quite a Celtic theme. I've picked one sort of myth/legend tale from one from Wales, one from Ireland, and one from Scotland. I guess they're probably all well known in their respective countries. I don't know how many people outside of these three countries know these tales. I believe the first one that I'm going to mention is going to be from Wales, and I think this story has actually had a few what's the word?
Translations?
Sort of mirrored stories in other countries across Europe.
I was just going to ask about this. You say they were like specific to these. I was just going to ask this. I say they're specific to these countries, but I often find that the same like folklores are the same in different countries, but they change up their names and shit.
Yeah,
Look at Disney, man. Disney and fucking I don't know. Pick one like Snow White, for example. They're all German, aren't they? I suppose Disney would be German, yeah.
Brothers Grimm, son.
Brothers Grimm, that's the
Brothers
bad,
Grimm.
Yeah.
And they're are more gothic style as well and tend to be a bit more darker and whatnot.
Yeah.
Stories and stuff.
So the first tale is from Wales, and it is the tale of Prince Llewellyn's Hound. As I know Gareth likes to get the proper name out there.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Have you really, son?
Yeah. He actually did.
Yeah. So the hound's name is Gelert. So I'll read the story. I've got the full story in front of me. Now I will say before I read it, there's a few
chicken in the room.
There's a few iterations of the story. This might be different to what you three do.
Iterations.
Iterations.
Riley Reid is his son.
Iteration. Jesus. All right. Yeah. So there's a few different iterations of the story. And it might be slightly different to what you guys know. It might be slightly different to what any of you listening know. But this is the story I found, and I'm familiar with myself anyway. Get my mouse working. Okay. So, many years ago, in a castle deep in the rugged mountains of Erie in the county of Gwynedd, lived a brave and well-respected prince called Llewellyn. This prince loved to hunt, and his favourite hunting dog was a faithful and fearless hound called Gelert. Gelert accompanied Llewellyn everywhere and was always to be found at the head of the pack. No game was too big, too strong, or too fierce for Gelert, whose bravery knew no bounds. The prince had a beloved son, a swaddling babe, whose mother died in childbirth. Llewellyn had loved his dear wife and been broken-hearted by her death. His only consolation had been his son. On her deathbed, Llewellyn had promised his wife that he would cherish the boy, and this he did. He looked forward to the day when the two of them could ride out together, tracking the wolves and other wild animals found in the ancient hills and the dark forests of Gwynedd in those far-off days.
Ducks for the sun.
Possibly.
Okay.
One day, Llewellyn and his men were preparing to go out hunting. The baby lay fast asleep in his cradle, his nurse in attendance nearby. The day was cold and damp, but a huge log fire blazed in the bedchamber and the cradle was covered with warm furs. The baby was safe and snug. Nevertheless, Llewellyn decided to leave his loyal hound Gelert to protect the homestead as he gently stroked the dog's huge shaggy head. "Guard them well, Gelert," he said, "until I return." Gelert's tail thumped the ground slowly, and his eyes remained on his master's face until Llewellyn softly closed the door behind him. It was late when the prince returned home. He was tired but victorious. A sumptuous feast was being prepared as he strode through the great halls towards the bedchamber, eager to see his son and relax in front of the great fire. But as he entered the room, he beheld a terrible sight. Furniture lay upturned, tapestries had been ripped from their hangings, and the baby's cradle lay empty on the floor. The luxurious furs had been previously covered. The cradle lay scattered nearby, torn to shreds and smeared with blood. As Llewellyn stood rooted to the spot, he felt the soft, warm, velvety nose nuzzle the palm of his hand. He looked down to see Gelert's trusting eyes gazing up at him. The dog looked exhausted, but wagged his tail weakly. His head and paws were stained with blood. "You wicked creature," roared the prince. "This dog has killed my son." And without further ado, he drew his dagger and plunged it deep into Gelert's side. As the dog slumped to the ground, the prince heard a soft whimpering from behind the upturned cradle. As the dog lay dying, Llewellyn picked his son up. Too late, he turned to see the half-covered body of a huge wolf lying dead on the floor. Thanks to Gelert, the baby remained unharmed. Filled with remorse, Llewellyn knelt and gently stroked his faithful friend Gelert's tail, thumped the ground slowly for the last time. Got a mouthful, sorry about that. Gelert's body was buried outside the castle walls, close to the river. The huge stone slab, inscribed with Gelert's name, still marks the grave and the village nearby, which carries the name Bedd Gelert, which means, in Welsh, Gelert's grave. So, that was the story. It's a very sad story because
Took me back. I did too.
Yeah, so this is a story that in Wales it's commonly told in school, either in primary school or early secondary school. You are told the tale of Gelert the dog, and Bedd Gelert is up in North Wales. Is it in Snowdonia? No, is Gwynedd part of like Snowdonia area, or is that?
I have no idea. I know Gwynedd is like a county, isn't it?
Yeah, I know it's up that area anyway. So it's quite far from where we are anyway. But yeah, that's the story that we sort of grow up with in Wales, and it's
Gwynedd, son, it's Gwynedd.
I know it's Gwynedd. I know.
Oh, sorry, son.
I know it's Gwynedd. I didn't know if it was like I'm not too sure on the whole the county thing and whether Snowdonia is its own thing. I don't know. But yeah, that story is a sad one, and it's I'd go as far to say that might be the most popular Welsh myth. Do you think that's the most popular Welsh myth?
Merlin.
I can remember hearing that at 10 years old in primary school and being absolutely devastated and heartbroken by it. I'd be honest with you. And it deeply affected me, that story. Like, because I was thinking, oh, it's a great story. And then the teacher says that, and you're like, what? And then it's like, oh my God. And like, yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was primary school for me too.
I remember my grandpa telling me at first. Actually, it's one of the only vivid memories I've got of him as well, which was it was nice to relive that. I gotta say.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think year 7 I heard the story, but I'm sure that I was told it before that. But I remember being told in year 7. It's one of those ones where you told it at some point in your life in Wales, anyway. If
Actually
you know,
been to the.
Can I just ask, look, do you think the story also teaches a message though of
what?
not to jump to conclusions too quick, perhaps, or can you find any messages within, perhaps?
Yeah, I think
Or do you
that's
think-
it. What you said, nail on the head there. I think.
yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So
Always think
Look before you leap.
Don't jump. Yeah, don't jump to conclusions.
don't judge a book by its
read-
cover.
It's like he doesn't judge a book by his cover, though, does he? Because the dog is proven to be nothing but loyal and caring and loving to him for his entire life. Yet this prick of a fucking prince turns around and stabs him in the fucking gut, like.
Fair point. Fair point.
I guess, but you judged him because he was covered in blood and the baby's crib was turned over. So
True that. It's like Lady and the Tramp, innit? And the rat. Seen that? Same thing. Essentially, the tramp kills the rat. They think they've knocked the baby over. Fucking kick the tramp out. Same shit. Doesn't get killed because it's a Disney movie. But
a lot of people think that this story is true in Wales, and some people like to believe that it's true. However,
I think it's true.
So so where am I? I'm looking for my place now. So to the day, I'll read the little section that I got here. So to this day, a cairn of stones marks the place and the name Bedd Gelert in Welsh, which means the grave of Gelert. And thousands of people visit the grave every year and hear the tale. However, those stones are only 200 years old.
There's a flaw then.
So apparently, from what I researched, so there was a guy called David Pritchard in 1793, and he owned the Royal Goat Inn, and he wanted to basically get trade to his inn. So he heard about this tale on his travels. So he decided to basically marry it to this place that he was in to get people to stay in his hotel as a sort of tourist attraction. He invented the tourist attraction. So he adapted it, and he done all he knew about because the Prince Llewellyn had a connection with a nearby abbey, so he knew that it was plausible.
Abbey Jones was his son.
So he knew that it was plausible for Llewellyn to be in that area, so the tale could be true.
But the town is called Bedd Gelert, though. That's where the stones are.
That's what I mean. They named the town so it would benefit trade to the town, and that's.
So Bedd Gelert's only been called Bedd Gelert for like 200 years.
What, 70? Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah.
So it all adds up.
Yeah.
I assumed Bedd Gelert had been around since the Prince's Castle or whatever.
So he did. So he got the name Gelert. I'm sure. Yeah, he did. He invented the name Gelert. I got it here. So he invented the name Gelert and introduced the name Llewellyn into the story because of the prince's connection to the abbey, like I said. But the parish of the nearby church raised the stones and not Llewellyn. So it's
similar to there's a place in the Rhondda on the mountain. You may have seen it as you're driving up the Tonopandi, etc. It's called Pen Rhys. Now the local legend, there was some kind of prince called Rhys, and he was beheaded and his head rolled down the mountain. And I think Pen Rhys translated to Rhys's head or something. Now I don't know how much truth is to that, but I can remember hearing that story as a young chap as well.
Sounds like that's some bullshit. It's like the giant's bite as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another one.
The story of which the giant took a bite out of the mountain.
What did you get told about
that? Giant's bite?
Yeah.
They're very or Giant's Gap as well, it's been called. It depends who you speak to. It's basically a chunk out of the mountain. Some people say that the giants were fighting and one guy leant down and ripped a chunk of the mountain out and threw it at the other one.
That's the one I heard.
And the other one is the giant's bite, is that the giant
fucking
fell and bit the mountain out when he knocked. There's multiple versions, none of which are true.
That's the one I knew was the one that he fell.
Really?
Yeah.
No, these are known as local folklore, I'd say. Though this is purely all local folklore, so it doesn't really go any further than that, perhaps. And I imagine, as we said earlier, though, a lot of towns and cities have got these local little folklores about things that have happened locally and stuff.
We got what's the one in
again are probably similar somewhere else for another piece of land or sculpture, etc.
It's bollocks.
I think
it's all
that's
bollocks.
how it
People
kind of
just
works.
talk shit, don't they? As they, it's like Abercanney did the lightning. Tom will remember.
Everywhere has a white
Yeah.
nun. Everywhere has like a wild
also,
cat that escaped the zoo or whatever. Fucking...
Yeah, we had panthers, everything.
Yeah.
we got a phantom hitchhiker, I believe, on the Ricos Mountain as well. But every mountain's road has probably got that, I imagine, as well. The White Lady, phantom hitchhikers, all sorts. I imagine you've got that as well, perhaps.
The white nun fell down a mine shaft, and how she haunts the area in which the mine existed.
You'd think nuns would go to heaven, but there we go.
Oh yeah, she's into some mad shit.
In Ardmore, did you ever go to Ardmore for school trips thing where you stayed there? Like,
I've been down there.
I used to work by there, son. I'll drive down there on my lunch.
I know, but like
cardboard box factory, like on the Simpsons. Literally went to a cardboard box factory on a school trip. You couldn't write this stuff.
I remember in primary school, because you could have like you spend a week down in Ardmore, and it's like this sort of camp. So we done like a camping week in Ardmore, and they taught you how to camp and all that stuff.
That was cold.
And one of the tales down there was about, was it the headless nun? I think it was the headless nun. I want to say the headless nun, where she fell off the one of the coastline bits, the things on the coast, and lost her head, and she's been trying to find it ever since. I think that's it anyway. I could be mixed with another headless nun somewhere.
I think I was just scare you probably though, son.
Nearly Headless Nick was it, son?
Headless Nick, yeah.
It's like the old campfire ghost story kind of jobby, I think, perhaps, though.
But you think, though, people down in that area in Bridgend and Ardmore, they probably know that story a lot better than I just told it. So to them, that's their, giant's bite.
Yeah.
Folklore, innit? Local folklore.
It's an interesting one, though. Like, and like I said, the reason I chose the Gelert one for the Welsh one is probably the most popular one. I know you got King Arthur and Merlin and all that is based in Wales and all that jazz, but I think
I've been to King Arthur's place down here.
I was actually going to talk about King Arthur. I don't know whether that was a good opportunity to talk about King Arthur.
King Tadgel is his son.
Artie, as I call him.
Arthur Atkinson. Where's your watch? I was going to talk about the King Arthur one. Basically, I've got a few extracts on it. No, this is Arthur and the Magic Sword.
Merlin and Essen.
Merlin is in it.
Essentially,
the kingdom
Van Helsing.
The dead King Uther had been killed not in battle, but because his Saxon enemies had been poisoned from the water well. His throne was now empty, and there was no one to reign over the Britons. So the nobles of the land was called in for a conference, which only aristocracy attended.
Great conference was his son.
More or less.
Some sort of senate, by the sounds of things, son.
Each man was yearning to be crowned at the time a king of Britain. So I'll skip a little bit further back. So for the following morning, a square rock had appeared outside the conference house. In the center was shaped like an anvil, and I believe there was just a sword sticking out of it. And the sword say, "Whoever can pull this sword out of the anvil is the rightful king of Britain." So I mean, well, we know the rest. It's a big story, but yeah, all these men kind of, they tried their best to get this stone out. A couple of hearty breakfasts, jobby, which it actually says in here. Actually, it does legit the word hearty breakfast, but. I mean, in the end, though, Arthur was called. Now, I'm trying to find out who Arthur actually was at the time. Do we know who Arthur actually was at the time?
I thought he was Uther's son.
King.
He was Uther's son, wasn't he?
That's where I can't seem to find out anyway. If you can find out for me somewhere.
There's a few translations where Arthur's actually a woman.
Now, what Arthur did, though, I don't know what Arthur's previous job description was, but Arthur stepped forward. He powdered the palm of his hand for better grip. and walked towards the square stone. He grasped the hilt of the sword and pulled. And to everyone's amazement, the blade slid smoothly out of the rock or boulder, whatever you want to call it, and everyone shouted, "Arthur is king! Long live the king! Long live King Arthur!" And even the noblemen chanted in the end. The Archbishop at the time anointed Arthur as the rightful king of Britain, but I can't seem to find out where Arthur's previous job description was, which has totally killed my story, and I can only apologise.
He's not unemployed.
So, well, from what I knew about that tale was that he was Uther's son, and Uther was the king initially.
Let's have a look.
But then again, because obviously everyone knows the sword and the stone, but wasn't there the lady in the lake as well? That gave him
in the lake.
Didn't he kill a dragon as well, Arthur? Unsure if he was with that exact sword.
Is that where the dragon came from in our flag?
Oh, I got it.
No idea.
Arthur was.
No, but I'll
got
get
it. Can I just jump back in? Sorry, right. Arthur was the son of the king that had died. King.
Well, it seemed like they didn't need to go through all that fucking rigmarole then. You know,
no, he was the natural heir anyway. He was the rightful heir.
Exactly. Well, this is what I'm trying to work out. If Arthur was the natural heir, why did they have the whole? Everybody was fighting to be Game of Thrones style, like.
Can I just say that I said Uther was Uther's son, like about 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's no problem. But I was trying to work out what his job description was, though. He was literally just a child that was born as a king of a dead son. Then
a king of a dead son.
The dead king.
Dead king's son.
But this is where my mind is blown. Though he would have been the rightful heir anyway, as Tom said several times.
Once.
Yes, when you go through the business, I'm gonna have to look further into this another time.
He also went searching for the Holy Grail as well, son, and that was comedic. Yeah,
it's kind of like how Joffrey was the king, rightful king kind of jobby. I don't know, but that's the story though. Basically, everyone was fighting for a place to be the king. A rock was placed in a stone. There was some kind of competition of the time, I guess you could call it. To pull the sword from the rock, Arthur he could have been king anyway if he wanted to. He thought, I'll have a stab at that, excuse the pun. He pulled it out, and he was king, which, to my knowledge, he should have been anyway. And that's the story of that. Arthur and the sword. I mean, there's several films, The Sword and the Stone and stuff, which I don't think I've ever seen.
Has anyone ever been to Tintagel?
I have. It's in Cornwall, isn't it?
It is in Cornwall, yeah.
Been there, yeah.
Very, very interesting place.
Beautiful place, actually.
Yeah, Christ.
We'll call it. I'm sure you had a cream tea. Beautiful scone. I'm sure I did.
I imagine they've got like an Excalibur pub or something like that.
Possibly.
The Excalibur, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Excalibur's in Amsterdam.
Or the Sword in the Stone.
Sword in the Stone, yeah.
We've just told 2 Welsh tales by there now, so I just see Wales is quite popular for these kind of myths and legends, to reel it back in a bit. There are several. And can I just say, the book that I've read from is Tales from Wales by the author Rhiannon Evans. And this is just extracts from a book called The Mabinogion. But The Mabinogion is a huge book of Welsh myths, legends, tales and folklore, which I imagine is a pretty hefty read. And I probably originally... well, it's got to be. It's probably all written in Welsh, I imagine, originally, and obviously the transcribed versions into English and stuff. But yeah, the Mabinogion is the go-to place for Welsh tales and folklore, etc. And what I've just read to you was brief extracts of me extracting brief extracts from such book, basically.
Yeah.
And both tales are in that, by the way. And both tales are in, I believe, are in that what we just spoke of there.
So yeah. I wasn't actually going to say this particular story, but Tom actually mentioned about the dragon and how we got a dragon on our flag. I do have the story up here if you want to hear that. I don't know if you... Yeah. So way back in the 5th century, the Celtic king Vortigern, chose Dinas Emrys as the site for his castle.
So 5th century was around Roman...
5th century would
Roman
be...
reign, wasn't it?
Depending... Are we talking 5th century AD, or...?
I'm guessing this was AD.
It's got to be, isn't it? Yeah, Roman reign. Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah. So from there he hoped to escape the Saxons, But his plans for a fortress weren't easily achieved. Every night, the royal masons would lay down their tools, only to return the next day to find they'd vanished, and their carefully crafted walls had fallen down. And so it went on day after day until Vortigern was forced to seek the help of sorcerers and magicians. They advised that the ground should be sprinkled with the blood of a child born to a human mother and a father from another world.
Nice.
So this part now is about Merlin and the Dragon's Lair. So a search was launched, and eventually the child found in Caer Merlin. Oh God, here we go. Caer Merlin, I think that's how you pronounce it, Carmarthen. And preparations for the sacrifice were made. But the child, oh God, I can't say it. Merlin. Is it Merlin Emrys? It's Myrdin.
Myrdin.
Myrdin. Could be Myrdin, yeah. Myrdin Emrys was no ordinary child.
Myrid.
No, it's IN at the end as well.
Oh, Myrian?
It's Myrdin. I think it's Myrdin. I'd say Myrdin.
Is it pen or pen?
So Myrdin Emrys was no ordinary child. In fact, he was Merlin, the wizard. Merlin convinced Vortigern that 2 dragons lay sleeping under a lake inside the mountain, and it was they that were destroying the foundations of his fortress. Convinced the boy was right, Vortigern commanded his labourers to dig deep into the mountain. They did as they were told and discovered an underground lake, just as Merlin had predicted. Once drained, the red and white dragons lay sleeping. There they awoke and began to fight. Eventually, the white dragon fled, and the red dragon returned quietly to his lair. Vortigern's castle was finally built and duly named Dinas Emrys in honour of Merlin Emrys, or Merlin Emrys, I can't remember. And the red dragon has been celebrated ever since. So that's the tale of the flag. Now, I remember when I was younger, I believe it was my mother mentioned that this could be another story differently, but the red dragon was a Welsh one and the white dragon was a French one.
I was going to say English.
French.
The French dragon. What the fuck was he doing over here?
Well, exactly. But you'd think English, but I don't know. I don't know any details of that story. But yeah, that's one tale of how the dragon is on our flag.
So these people are sleeping through dragon attacks every night?
No, the dragons were just underground, and like their knocking basically caused the walls to fall.
Oh, they were shark, right? Yeah. Okay.
I think the white one was possibly English though.
Shagging loud, do they?
It could be English, but I heard French when I was younger. Probably wrong. Yeah. But then again, like, where did that white dragon go? No other place has a white dragon on their flag, do they?
Well, one of Daenerys' dragons white.
Eventually.
A lot of people say Wales is the best flag, though.
It does.
I'm not just saying that.
Yeah. Wales
is a pretty cool fucking flag, to be honest, isn't it?
And it was only in the 50s that it became an official flag?
Yeah, apparently it's bad luck.
What?
Like the old Welsh flag.
I can't expand on that. It used to be a black and gold cross, then they changed it to a.
That's the flag of St. David.
Yeah. Then they changed it to the dragon, but apparently ever since the dragon has been on it, it's just been brought nothing but bad luck. I can't really explain more than that on there. I remember looking at it years ago.
Like when Cardiff City changed their colours, is it, son?
Yeah, probably.
Fantastic.
Last very long, did I?
No.
Never mind, United had that really unlucky Kit Rich, that grey one.
They wore it once, and they couldn't find each other on the pitch because they blended in with the crowd.
Yeah, I had that shirt. I had that when I was, God, I remember buying that shirt.
It was fired only once.
Yeah, I remember. It was grey with like red sharp root cam. I remember.
Yeah, they changed the half time into their other kit. Good job. They brought 2, wasn't it? I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
There's another really cool Welsh flag or sigil. I love this symbol, but it's associated with nationalism a bit, so it's a bit dodgy. But have you ever heard of the Free Wales Army?
No.
I'm gonna Google this now.
The Free Wales Army.
Free Wales Army.
Free Wales Army. So like free as in FREE. So it's kind of like the IRA, but they were for Wales.
Right, okay.
They wanted.
You got me googling this.
They wanted Welsh independence.
Oh,
and they took this weird like eagle kind of rune as their
That's a rune, definitely. Yeah.
It's what's the name of that flag? I forget what it's called.
What the white and green?
Right.
No, it's like it's called the Erwen. Erwen, I think it's called.
It looks like a repurposed swastika, won't I?
No, it doesn't. It's a fucking
No,
eagle. You
it's a
dick.
rune. That is.
It's an eagle rune.
It's fucking.
I love that symbol.
Thing
Very
is,
powerful symbol.
it looks almost Nordic though. Well,
It
I
does.
suppose Celtic runes for a
There's
massive
one on the
thing.
railway bridge in Trodrew down here. But yeah, Free Will's Army used it when they were relevant in the 80s. Well, they were never fucking relevant, but like they were trying to be relevant.
Through the magic of post editing, I'll put it on screen now.
Yeah. But that's a good shout. But what I would like to know is the Erwen. This is what I've not been able to find out. Speaking of Welsh history, I've never been able to find out what where that rune came from. Like, I can't find anything about it other than the fact that it was used by the Free Wales Army, or Byddin Rhyddhydd Cymru, however the fuck you say their real name in Welsh.
What if it is just like two inverted swastikas? No, you feel like a right tick.
Oh yeah, maybe it is a fucking swastika repurposed. I don't know. It looks like an old rune to me. I just think that's a really cool symbol, and it's a shame it's not more positively associated with Wales' history.
The Bluetooth icon is two runes put together, literally meaning Bluetooth. I saw the other day.
Well, it's named after a Viking. Is it Harold Bluetooth? Is that it?
Yeah. That's the one.
You're back from the
Okay.
science.
What was that?
Okay.
When?
Oh, I don't know if someone said something then. It was...
Anybody else got any tales?
I reckon we go to Ireland and see what Ireland's got to offer. Or Scotland, either one.
So Ireland is next. We're going...
Big old place is Ireland. I didn't realise just how big it was compared to the rest of Britain. Like,
yeah,
a wide boy.
Yeah.
Wide boy, yeah.
He is a wide boy.
Yeah. So moving over to Ireland then. So this is well, for anyone that knows me, they know that I am, for all intents and purposes, half Irish with an Irish mother. So this story is kind of something that I grew up with, and I knew from a young age. It's the story of the Giant's Causeway and how that came to be. So yeah, in the Giant's Causeway is up in Northern Ireland. I think it's in County Antrim. I think that it's all these sort of not circular.
The hexagon.
Hexagonal. That's one. Hexagonal rocks, and they're all it's very unique. You look at them and it's a massive tourist attraction. I'd visit if you're ever in Northern Ireland. I definitely visit it because it is pretty cool to have a look, and it's always flooded with tourists though. But
and all you nerds that play Ark, they're on Ragnarok up at the lighthouse.
There we go. Yeah, so this is the story of the Giant's Causeway. So once upon a time, there was a mythological Irish giant called Finn McCool. Sounds like a Simpsons character, I know.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. Who got himself into a spot of trouble with a high-tempered Scottish giant called Ben and Donna, who had made a claim for Finn's island of Ireland. Enraged at Ben and Donna's claim to Ireland, the giant Finn McCool started angrily throwing boulders into the sea off the Antrim coastline in Northern Ireland. Inspired by the way they fell into the water, Finn decided to use his boulders to make a bridge, or a causeway, a giant's causeway, all the way to Scotland's Isla of Staffa. Using his causeway to Scotland, he could challenge his rival to a proper duel over the fate of Ireland. So in a mythical world where size dictates winners and losers, Finn realizes that he has underestimated his enemy. Ben and Donna is a giant, even for a giant, so brute force won't work on him. So Finn quickly returns to Ireland via his giant's causeway and decides the best way to beat Ben and Donna is to con him. Leaving the giant's causeway for Ben and Donna to find, Finn McCool's wife disguises him as a baby. When Ben and Donna arrives, he finds Finn's wife, I can't pronounce this, I think it's Siva, tending to her enormous baby giant. Realizing that if Finn's child was this big, Finn himself must be huge. So the Scottish giant Ben and Donna hurries away, retreating back to Scotland with his tail between his legs. As he hurries home, he frantically tears bits away from the causeway, severing all ties between Scotland and Ireland to prevent Finn McCool following home as he retreats to the Fingal's Cave off the Isle of Staffa. And that's the tale of the Giant's Causeway.
It sounds like Burroughs' favourite movie that was never made.
It's an interesting one. Interestingly as well, Fingal's Cave in Scotland has the same rock formations as Giant's Causeway.
Well, no shit. That's not. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool,
Do,
isn't it?
do you know why they formed that way?
It's volcanic, I believe. I think it's caused by some sort of volcanic eruption thousands and thousands of years ago, and that's how they came to be initially.
Ireland's got some wonderful ghost tales and stories. Though I can
Yeah.
remember we visited Ireland. Was it last year, possibly the year before? And we went to Blarney Castle, and obviously with the home of the Blarney Stone.
Yeah.
And I bought a wonderful book there, big huge book on ghost tales, and it's fabulous. It's got some really rich tales of ghost stories and stuff. It's very, very good, very
Do
good.
you have any Doolahans in there, son?
A couple of Doolahans in this and a few.
Cracking.
So yeah, they do actually, Gar. They do think it was like millions of years ago, not thousands. My bad. That does make more sense, I guess.
Yeah, we talk dinosaur time.
Yeah. So, but it, like I said, it was volcanic, just lava basically protruding upwards. So it was just an intense period of volcanic activity, rapidly cooling lava contracted, and differences in the cooling rate led to the formation of hexagonal basalt columns.
Seems pretty intricate. Like it's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, but it's
the science, son.
So yeah, it's a pretty cool place to visit though, and you can climb up the steps only to a certain point on certain days though, because they got people in. Because I remember I tried climbing up, and I went up a route that you apparently shouldn't have gone up, and I got shouted at and told to come down when I was climbing.
A high vis, son.
But,
Walking a high vis, son.
yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
But yeah, I've been told that story. Oh God, years and years and years ago when I was a kid. I think I visited the Causeway 3 times. I think I've been there 3 times.
The most recent you've been there, son?
The year before last.
Oh, there we go. Quite recent then. I'd love to go there. I'd absolutely love to go there. Should the opportunity come up on our travels again, I'd love to. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But we'll certainly go there. I went there with my my sister, my brother-in-law, and my niece. So I had some pictures there and all sorts. But yes, what do you think of of that tale then?
First time I've heard it. Let's say that.
Yeah, I've never heard that one before either.
It's folklore again, really. I suppose Irish folklore, perhaps.
It's classic Irish though, with the comedy and all that, and it's good.
Oh yeah. Well done.
I like how it's basically a story of how like an Irishman is a massive con man. One of our most famed stories in Ireland is about how we conned someone into believing something wasn't true. There we go. Yeah.
An enjoyable tale. Definitely an enjoyable tale, and yeah, it's just made me want to go and see it as well. I'd like to go and see it sometime, definitely.
Yeah, we there are other tales in Ireland, but that one in particular is one that I knew quite well anyway, so I thought I'd add that one in. I don't have any others from Ireland to hand either, unfortunately. I mainly looked at the Welsh ones, but yeah, that's the old one from Ireland.
Would you say though it ties in with the kind of like Celtic kind of folklore perhaps as well, which is the bigger margin with?
Well, it kind of crosses into Scottish folklore, doesn't it? Because it's a Scottish giant as well. And I actually don't know if there's a tale from the opposite end, whether they have one in Scotland about. They do have. There is something about the what's it called, Fingal's Cave. There is something about that. So around 250 AD, Finn MacCumhall or Fingal was possibly an Irish general who had a band of faithful warriors, a Celtic parallel to King Arthur and his Round Table. So he was being the father of Ossian, traditional bard of the Gaels. The Gaels migrated into Scotland from Ireland until the Norsemen began their raids on the Scottish coast, and the stories of Fingal would doubtless have come across too, soon became revered in Scotland and boosted the Ossanic hero verse and songs. So I think it's basically, that guy Ossian, he is like some sort of folklore hero in Scotland, I'm guessing. And Fingal's Cave is sort of named after his dad. No, I think it was supposed to be the father. Yeah. So there we go. Apparently.
Right.
So, but there's no. Apparently, as well, I just found out that the Tale of the Giant's Causeway was written by a Scottish poet. So, which is interesting. Yeah.
As like a diss, maybe?
A larger level of beth Gelertness to it, or something, with respect.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of a. So it did tell a story of an Irishman conning a Scotsman, but it also told the story of Scotsman being a lot tougher than an Irishman. Forget what I mean?
Yeah.
Bigger and better, but that's
It's a bard's tale, isn't it, really?
yeah.
A tale of vanity, son.
Aye. So I don't know if any of you guys have any Irish ones. I don't think you do you? I don't think you guys
I don't know anything about the Irish stuff, I'll be honest with you.
I know a little bit about a Doulahan. It's not really a tale or anything, though. It's more of a more of a ghost, like. So I don't think it really fit, to be honest with you. I don't really know a story about it either. I just know what it is. So it's pretty rubbish. I don't know why I'm talking.
So,
do you want to go on to Scotland?
A Doulahan is
I
it?
was going to list a few sort of I guess characters like you said, you know the characters, there's no story, but people know about them. But I thought there's no point really. I didn't really want to clutter it up with lots of little things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe for a different day, that is. But the Scottish one is actually a really recent one. So this circulated back in the 1950s. So this is a very recent one, and it's about the Gorbals vampire. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the Gorbals vampire before.
I haven't, no. Is this something to do with Hitler?
No.
Oh.
Gorbals.
So back in the 50s, 1950s, the Gorbals area of Glasgow was being terrorized. Stories have been circulating in the Gorbals about missing children, believed killed. The culprit was said to be a 7-foot vampire with iron teeth lurking in the southern necropolis.
Fucking hell.
The adults wouldn't believe the kids, so the kids decided to deal with the monster once and for all by themselves. In 1954, hundreds of young kids from the Gorbals area of Glasgow swarmed into the creepy necropolis graveyard. The police were called, but couldn't move the children. It took a local head teacher to finally disperse the crowd. So local historians believe the mass panic stemmed from a legend of Jenny Wee. No, sorry, this is like a pronunciation thing. Jenny with the iron teeth. So with the iron teeth.
Please.
A murderous ghost said to haunt the Glasgow Green. There was also an American comic book at the time entitled The Vampire with the Iron Teeth. After the story appeared in the local press, it gained worldwide coverage. An unlikely alliance of Christians, communists, and the National Union of Teachers blamed imported American horror comic books as the mass hysteria.
What?
The campaign ultimately reached Parliament, resulting in the 1955 Children and Young Persons Harmful Publications Act, which still stands today.
There we go.
A stage play and a graphic novel have told the story of the Gorbals vampire, and a large mural of the beast guards the local railway arch in Glasgow.
Yeah, that's cracking.
That's brilliant.
So it was like it's a story, like whether it's a myth is to be believed, but I guess if you were one of those kids back in the day, you actually believed that was there, and maybe if any, well, I'm sure some of them are still alive today, they would probably say, yeah, it was real, maybe they thought they saw it or all that stuff. But I thought that was a really interesting one. I thought, especially in the Steegs, because we like stuff like this, especially with it coming into comic books and sort of like the paranormal horror element of it as well. It's all pretty cool, like. But how it actually it actually ended up becoming some sort of publications act, in Parliament. They went to Parliament, and it ended up just resulting in this thing that's not today. It's a cracking story. I thought it was brilliant.
Took it and run with it. They took it and they ran with it, and they milked it for all that they got, son, and they went too far. That's what happened.
Milk it fucking dry, son.
What happened?
So,
They
were disappearances, though.
Yeah, they were.
And this is what they took from it. They were kids getting killed, so then they put a ban on.
Yeah, This is the
Where's she on, Connie?
1950s.
World's gone mad, son.
Yeah,
He's
it's
going to
pretty
see
mad.
on Corey, son. Let me tell him.
Yeah. There was another one. I haven't written it down. There's another tale that I thought was pretty interesting. And I'm just going to do this from memory, so apologies for the crudeness of the story. But it was a cave near Stranraer in Scotland, and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, they were believed to be fairies living in this cave. And everyone was scared to go in there. They heard noises coming from there or whatever, until one day a minstrel decided to go in there with his brown dog, playing the bagpipes, a piper. So he walked through this cave.
Stop it. When you said a minstrel, and I was thinking like
Chocolate bar.
Mommy. I was thinking like proper like not that kind of minstrel.
A piper would be a better.
More of a bard again.
Or a bard, a piper, or a bard, either one.
You are.
I like where your head's at, Zaka.
So he went in there playing his bagpipes, walking through the cave with his dog by his side, and people could hear these bagpipes being played for like hours until suddenly the bagpipes stopped. And then shortly after, the dog just belts out of the cave with no hair on his body and just legs it past everyone.
Right.
And the piper was never seen again. However, to this day, if you go over those hills by where that cave was, you can still faintly hear the sound of bagpipes being played through like they're being played in that cave by the piper, and that's the tale of the piper over there. It was somewhere near Stranraer, I think. But yeah,
it's a creepy one.
I found that one pretty funny. But, it's like why they take the hair off the dog? Hair of the dog? I don't know. But
hair of the dog, is that where that's come from?
I don't know. Maybe.
Hair of the doggo. There's some in the comments below.
Yeah.
Hair of the doggo. It's a cheap haircut though, son. Imagine walking in that cave, we think, oh, I could do a bit of a tidy up. Walk in that cave, we come out, gone. Brilliant. Not for the dog, of course, though.
They'd be arrested if it was these days, wouldn't they? Those fairies.
Oh God, I
can't cut people's hair these days.
No.
Legal haircut job, yeah, it is.
God, I need my.
Is that was Barnstone, by the way? Everyone alright?
No.
Right?
No.
Heavily needs to be pruned.
Yeah.
A haircut February.
I got back in.
When did you guys have a haircut last? Mine was February.
January,
last year.
I think mine was January. Yeah.
Last year, probably for me.
Oh wait.
Beard's had a few trims, but the hair's it's like fucking super long. Could put it back in the top knot again.
I've gone for the Beatles vibe myself, son. Be honest with you.
I am gonna see how long my beard grows until the barber's open though. I want to see how long I can get it, and I'll measure it, and that'll be the ample length, I think.
The straighteners on it, son.
I could. I don't know if it would like straighten it out anymore, to be honest. Like if it would, because it's fairly straight as it is. And go down to about, I don't know, there, I guess.
Christ, another block of Satellite City. Right.
Aye. But yeah, they are my three main stories from the Celtic myths and legends. I did want to leave this sort of episode open to future ones, like we've done with like the paranormal one, with the unsolved mysteries one, and a couple of other topics we like to leave open for other
weird internet.
Weird internet. Yeah, it's all those episodes. Because
could we possibly rebrand Weird Internet to just like weird stuff, weird life, weird people,
weird life?
Anything, whatever you want.
Just start another series. Weird IRL.
Weird IRL.
Yeah.
Oh, some shit like that. I don't fucking know.
It's very 2020, it is.
Well, it is weird anymore. This is a new normal. Weird is the new normal.
Oh, but that phrase is the NWO, I'm telling you, sir.
Well, the new normal.
The new normal, yeah. The new normal is the NWO, the New World Order. I mean, it literally is, you know.
What do you guys think of these biblical acts that are currently happening across the world this year?
My son's the Antichrist.
My auntie's a born again, see, and it was my mother's birthday, sorry, a couple of weeks before this whole lockdown thing started, and my auntie was always like switched on. You know, she always used to like Lord of the Rings and stuff. And we were standing outside the pub, and yeah, she started saying like, you know, there's fire, there's loca, you know, and all this nonsense. Like I was like, oh yeah, you know, just thinking nothing of it. And now you mentioned these locusts coming.
Yeah. Oh, so to fill people in on what Tom's on about. On the news today, I noticed there was a story across Africa heading over to India, so covering Pakistan and all that area. There's a mass plague of locusts that's just eating crops everywhere. And that just adds to the sort of biblical year of 2020 where we've had forest fires and floods and.
Do you know what locusts are though?
Huh?
Do you know what they are?
They're like grasshoppers.
They are actual, Grenko. They are actually grasshoppers, and then they congregate. And when there's like not enough food to go around, they generally change their own physiology, and they like everything changes about them, like even the way they look, the way they act, and then they turn into locusts.
Mad, that isn't it?
Under like an environmental condition, yeah, that is really crazy. Like, right, mad.
How to adapt to your
predicament again.
Yeah, so they just
broken a joke.
Yeah,
Christ, aye.
Do you guys have any other tales or something you want to share, or?
Yeah. No, man. I don't think I. This is like you know, I could talk about Game of Thrones or Elder Scrolls or something. Can't talk about real life at all. You know. We want to talk about the provinces of Daggerfall. We'll go for it.
The struggles of a millennial, is it, Sean?
Well, the trouble is, other worlds are far more interesting than our own.
Not fucking wrong there. Speaking of that, has anyone actually seen the Midnight Gospel that's on Netflix?
I have not. I've not heard of that.
Oh, keep an eye out for that one. It's basically the next generation of podcasts. It's half-hour episodes by the guy that done Adventure Time, Duncan Trussell, I want to say his name is. But he basically hosts podcasts, but there's like a cartoon going on in the background, and the cartoon's like this crazy fucking Pink Floyd.
Space Ghost to Coast, is this one?
SteegCast, yes, it's SteegCast. And yeah, there's like loads of crazy Pink Floyd shit going on in the background. The first one's about weed, which is, you know, give or take. Second one, I think, is about death and all that, and acceptance of death. It's really good though. It's really like I don't know. The people he has on are really interesting. It's just feel good show. It's good.
That sounds very interesting.
Speaking of shows, new shows I started watching. Snowpiercer last night on Netflix.
Is that the Willy Wonka sequel?
No.
Are you sure about that? Google it when we're off air. Google that, yeah.
A harsh, gritty reboot of Willy Wonka, is it?
You remember that movie, yeah, on the train?
Yeah, but apparently it's nothing like that movie.
Oh, right, it's this TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the first 2 episodes are put on Netflix on Sunday. Pretty good though. I enjoyed it. See where it goes. Like, keep up.
Started watching Money Heist. It's shit.
Oh no. Everyone's on that. Watch Money Heist, but don't watch it because their lips move different to what they talking in there.
Yeah, you wouldn't like it, Rich, because you have to read.
God.
It's like Prison Break for Spaniards. It's that kind of pleb level television.
You're going to say spazzes.
No. Prison Break is for spazzes. Like, it is. Absolute lowest common denominator shite. Yeah.
First 2 seasons, good.
I've seen every single episode though, all like fucking every season of fucking Prison Break, and and when they brought it back, when it was in like Iraq or some shit. Oh, it was bad, so bad.
No time for reading, guys.
Yeah, HBO is free. I don't know who can get it in this country because, well, you can if you got a VPN. But HBO is free. Streaming all the good quality shit. Get on there. Man.
Curb Your Enthusiasm's on HBO.
Exactly that.
How far are you with the Latte Larry, Sam, at the time of going to press?
At the time of going to press, I am on the episode where the mink dress, the mink show.
The pepper fire scarf, yeah. I used to love the
Yeah. Fantastic.
Great series, this one. Absolutely great, son. I fully encourage you to watch it to the end so we can discuss further, perhaps, about it someday. Very enjoyable.
I will, 100%. It's on the
Always
cards.
coffee cups up yet, son?
No, I haven't seen the coffee cups. I've seen the urinal, but he's got the urinal where you slide it up.
Yeah, no defecating.
No,
Absolutely no defecating.
no defecating in his shop.
That's it. You got it. You got it. Great show. Great.
Anyway, I think we'll bring this this episode to a close now. And anyway, it's a shorter episode of what we normally do, especially the last one. The last one was very long, so it's kind of a nice break for us to have a shorter episode, I guess.
Lovely guys, a pleasure.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, and come back next time. I believe. What's the next episode on? We decided.
It's the.
Is it?
It depends. It depends what happens and what we're allowed to do, where we can go, what happens. It's up in the air at the moment. So I'm not going to disclose.
Okay.
Yeah.
We shall keep that under wraps, but I will say that we do have a recap episode coming at the end of this season, which isn't going to be the next one. It'll be the one after, whatever that may be.
Recap episode.
So that'll be cool. And I think, definitely the next time you see us, Sean will be a daddy. So
indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. I don't know if I'll be in the next cast or not. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But yeah. Cool times.
Aye. So so
that's. Could be a full man. Who knows?
You can take my place. I'll have a lie down.
So that's a goodbye from the SteegCast. Hope you had fun listening, and we'll catch you next time.